Good evening and welcome to The Clash. I'm Madhav Das Gopalakrishnan, and me along with my colleague Atar Khan will be bringing you this brand new exciting debate format, crisp and clear debate. Now, like everyone else, we may or may not agree with various sides of a debate, but we're going to be taking some very, very hard positions on this debate. Atar.
A true journalist must be adversarial towards those in power. The real test of any journalist is when he or she is asked to speak truth to power. In my 13 years as a broadcast television journalist, I've come to realize that it's almost an impossibility in most countries, including India. Perhaps with the exception of a post-Trump United States, where an unstable, erratic president has brought the best out of the press and has them speaking truth to power. This show, Madhav, is an experiment to see whether or not those conversations, contrarian points of views, do not get stuck in private conversations. That's what we're attempting right here. But I must also make it very clear that I am apolitical and I do not endorse or subscribe to any political party's point of view. But for the purposes of this very novel experiment, I will be taking positions and advocating a point of view. Not my point of view, but a point of view. And that's, in its essence, The Clash. Madhav.
Right. Let's with that begin with the first question that we're debating today. And in context of Karnataka government hiking the prices today, the question that we're asking, the first question, is Rahul Gandhi's ire only at Prime Minister Modi? The reason we are asking this is that it seems that Rahul Gandhi is only trying to make a political point. He's using fuel prices and he's used it in the past as a political tool. Point number two that we're making as far as this is concerned is that Rahul Gandhi has never held a government. He has never been part of governance. So it's easy for him to make this kind of a statement. It's very easy for Rahul Gandhi to shoot and scoot, and that seems to be the kind of politics that the Gandhi sign and the Congress president is indulging in. Who can forget the tweet that Rahul Gandhi has made just a little over 2 minutes ago? And also, of course, the most important point that we're raising over here, that with the Karnataka government, in which Congress is very much a part, raising fuel prices, hasn't the Congress, in a sense, conceded the moral high ground? Can the Congress party make this an issue at all in coming days? These are some of the questions that emerge as far as Rahul Gandhi and the statement that he has made are concerned.
All right, here's in brief a counter to what my colleague has just said. The opposition, why is it there? The opposition is there to raise questions. The opposition is there to make sure that whatever is happening under the rule of a current dispensation needs to be highlighted, good or bad. Just because in the past the same issue came up, it was the duty of the opposition to do so, and the Congress party merely did so. That is one point. The other point that my colleague raised, of course, is that the BJP is using the justification for using fuel cess really for development, but the Congress criticizes it and does the exact same thing in Karnataka. Understandable. Karnataka is a state. The fact is that Karnataka's after the hikes, even after the hikes, Karnataka's status really is there amongst the lowest as far as cessation on fuel is concerned. So Maharashtra, look at Maharashtra, what are the highest? And then my time is over. I'll refer it back now. And let's just involve the guest as well. I think Shahzad can counter me if he wants. Go ahead, Shahzad.
I think that what Rahul Gandhi has done is that Rahul ke daat khane ke alag aur dikhane ke alag. He was criticizing and challenging the Prime Minister on a fuel challenge. Well, I think he has failed this fuel challenge. He tweeted just a night before the Karnataka budget that he is the one behind this budget. Now the JDS should tell us whether this was Kumaraswamy's Man Ki Baat or it was Rahul Gandhi's. This is an anti-farmer and an anti-consumer budget because it will increase the prices, it will have a cascading effect, and the common man will be hit. The loan waiver was given, but the diesel prices were hiked, and that will only affect the farmer in a negative way.
Right. Yeah. Sanjeev, would you like to interject in that? Rahul Gandhi, he has his stamp all over this debate, is what Shahzad Poonawala is saying. Will he now concede responsibility?
Well, like in a game of poker, here also you are dealt a hand already and you are supposed to be defending it. While I usually like to take on the government quite much, like Atha said in his intro, this is one point where it's difficult, not so easy to defend the opposition. But couple of things. First, it's perhaps one of the first times in the history of democratic India that I have been reporting, except for the couple of years of emergency, when media is more an watchdog of the opposition than the government. Number one. Number two, I think the petrol prices, even when they were $40, they were so high in India, and perhaps somewhere, I would agree, the Prime Minister was right. He intended to spend that money and wants to spend that money on other projects rather than making petrol cheaper. Similarly, Karnataka government, HDK Kumar Swamy and their partners, coalition partners, Congress, i.e. Rahul Gandhi, are fully justified in raising just 1 rupee. 1 rupee 10 paisa, 1 rupee 12 paisa is the hike in petrol and diesel.
After several hikes, months and months of hikes of
considering they have to prioritize their budgets, their spending. If they had decided to go for this hike, it doesn't take the wind out of the sails of their entire campaign against the massive fuel hike one has seen over the last few years.
Sudesh, would you like to counter?
Yes, Madhav, first of all, I was a journalist before I became politician, so I must counter Arthur what you said. That need not be that you are a journalist, you have to be against the government. You must.
No, I said adversarial. I said adversarial. I did not say against.
You
There's
must
a difference between adversarial. The relationship must be adversarial.
You must appreciate the points. Otherwise, policymaker will lose the incentive to do good thing.
Should be a watchdog, not a lapdog.
Can I complete? My point is,
I must
give my
in this
45
context.
seconds. Give my uninterrupted 45
Alright.
seconds. See, the issue is that if the government is doing a good job, of course you should criticize, because the government needs to, streamline its job. Unless you criticize, the government would not be able to. But you must appreciate it's doing the right thing. As for example, when we say that why petroleum prices hovering around 75 rupees even now, when it was, say, in 2014 we came to par, despite the oil prices going down internationally, because we have made a huge investment in infrastructure. Otherwise you would have pothole and the infrastructure was lacking. So in that context, what Rahul Gandhi said, he did not act responsibly. He should have understood, because Congress have been in power for so long, and what they have done in Karnataka, they have taken people for a ride, because they have increased by 2% both diesel and not only petrol and diesel, they have also increased the prices per watt 20 paisa, which is going to have a massive impact on the budget of
Isn't he contradicting? Because his levies will raise the money. He has to balance the budget. It's not a joke, really. He spent on education, he spent on schools, things that the voters want to be spent on, money to be spent on. So he has to balance the budget somehow. Where will the money come from?
That when the center does it, then that argument is not acceptable. When your own state government does it, then the argument is acceptable. These are double standards.
I have an answer to that. So I mean, first of all, he reminds me of a शेर that वो कत्ल भी करते हैं, चर्चा नहीं होती, हम आहा भी भरते हैं, हो जाते हैं बदनाम. That's what's happening with Rahul Gandhi.
हमारे साथ है वो.
Okay. So when Mr. Modi wasn't decreasing the petrol prices in the tenure of NDA government, the central excise collection on fuel has increased threefolds. So it's been, even when the crude prices were falling, they were raising taxes. 11 times they hiked the excise. Now in this case, this 1 rupee hike is for waiving farm loans, and farmers are in distress all over the country. In Maharashtra, Maharashtra is such a big
It's the principle we're talking about here.
Yeah, so the principle involved has a
cannot
logic behind it.
but they are not
As Mr. Arun Jaitley said last time when this was criticized, that you need money, as you said, to fund infrastructure. In this case, it is to waive farm loans, and farmers are in greatest distress. I mean, let's take Maharashtra, where we were talking about the potholes. There's such a big farmer agitation going on.
And the highest cess is in Maharashtra, by the way.
And it's still a cost.
आशुतोष is saying कि अगर हमारा हाइक है तो वो चमत्कार, अगर आपका हाइक है तो आप गुनेगार. But I want to ask him, आशुतोष जी, सिद्धरामैया जी ने बोला I have left the state in such a great condition, we have money for all the schemes. That means you agree, सिद्धरामैया looted the state dry, and therefore you have to charge the farmers to give them a benefit.
Yes, रोज आपको जब आप रोज खर्चा
आपने यूपीए के दौरान तो खाली कर दिया, तो नरेंद्र मोदी डेवलपमेंट के लिए बढ़ा रहे, समझ में आता है. पर सिद्धरामैया ने खाली कर दी,
ये तो नया बहाना है. ये तो मोदी जी के पास जब कुछ दिखाने को नहीं है, तो नया बहाना है कि यूपीए
किसान और गरीब की बात करना ही गुनाह है असल में. तो you can keep on recapitalizing banks to the tune of lakhs of crores every 6 months, year 2 lakh crore, 1.5 lakh crore gone. और एक 37,000 34,000 करोड़ कर्नाटक में गरीब किसानों के लिए माफ कर दिया, तो तो उसमें इतनी हाई तो
Can I
बचा
add
है।
a problem?
एक रुपया में पेट्रोल की रेट बढ़ा दी तो
Sanjay, we will concede that even our worst of critics will say that when it comes to this issue, the entire media, Sanjeev, I'll come to Sudesh.
The priorities of this government are all lopsided. They work for the Punjipatis, for the big fat.
My interjection there is that the worst of our critics will also not accuse the media of going soft on this government when it comes to petrol prices. We've been very, very critical even when the centre increased it, and we are being equally critical when a state government has done so.
Centre had that leeway to decrease, which
Give me a chance to intervene. Let me come to what was said. 34,000 crore is the farm loan waiver they have announced, but they have not allocated the money. That's the problem. Why there is a problem? As Sajjad was right, because there is outstanding of 2,38,000 crore. That is the outstanding this government got. And who gave? It was not the BJP in power.
It was
Yes.
Okay,
Exactly.
So what are we doing with state finance?
By the previous Congress government.
आपका है एक मेरा
आपका है एक चमत्कार, हमारा है एक गुनहगार.
I just want to point something out. When this was happening throughout the year, when the oil price was going down globally and we couldn't do anything about it really.
Throughout the years.
What happened was how many consecutive rate hikes were there in the period of one year?
Absolutely, I'll tell you now.
No, 1 second. I haven't finished my point.
At least half a dozen.
At least half a dozen over a period of a year.
Absolutely.
Now this government has just come into power.
Yes.
They need to balance their budget.
Correct.
They need to get some levies. If you look at neighboring Maharashtra, BJP ruled state, let's take for example, it has the highest cess, the highest VAT. Now there it's fine. You know, there's no criticism there. They will Fadnavis clear.
I want to counter that with another neighboring state, the neighboring state of Kerala, when it opposed the centre, cut the prices of fuel. If you are consistent about whether it's about the principle, if you are serious about taking on the centre, why not lead by example? Why not lead by example? Ashutosh Mishra, answer that. If the Kerala government can do it, why does the Karnataka government
issue? There's a technical issue.
No,
There's a
All the
technical
money
issue.
was needed to pay the
He needs to answer
farmer
that.
who is in greater distress.
So who
The
promised
answer is
that?
very
Who
simple
made it
here.
who made it a political promise?
Okay,
It was the JDS. It was a political compulsion.
Let me answer let me answer Athar's question
Sanjeev.
directly. Central excises, by the way, are not ad valorem, but the state VAT is ad valorem. Point number one.
Yes.
Point number two, the center was giving a devolution of 42% of its revenues to the states, and under the new model of devolution of funds, the states were getting majority even when the central excise was being increased on petrol. So the biggest beneficiary was the state, and the state had the largest flexibility, and the state instead of reducing it, like Kerala did, increased it, and that shows that they want to do film. And therefore it was taken up.
Why does this government get under the
That's the
GST?
point. That's the
No,
point.
don't blame the state.
Athar,
If the government cannot get consensus, it's
fraud.
political
This is the
failure.
political
Because the
fraud
government doesn't
that you
engage
say.
anyone.
Congress
The
says
government
that bring it in
does not
GST,
engage
and you are
anyone.
using it to raise your
This
resources.
government does
So
not
bring it
engage
in
anyone.
GST. What is
Failure
it
to
doing?
get petrol and gas.
You say Athar
The
is saying
government-
the government-
the
this is very important point.
government-
This is very important point. Sanjeev, this is very important point. You say you say that bring it in GST,
Okay,
and then you are raising it.
one at a time.
Why are you raising that? Why you are raising? Tell me. If you wanted to bring in the GST, you have to reduce it. Isn't it? You are increasing it.
And all opposition parties have to come together.
In the
The
GST
centre has
council.
come on record to
What
say
we
that
are
all
doing-
opposition parties also have to come together.
What we are
Exactly.
doing
In the
is
GST council,
Can I answer Sudesh?
Athar, the question is that in the GST council, when
Yeah.
opposition parties raise this issue repeatedly, refuse to come by consensus, we know that GST is a law that's been implemented only by consensus. When
Yes.
there's no consensus, how do you blame the centre for this?
Exactly. The reason is because this central government does not engage states, and the failure of getting consensus of GST
Not
is
just
not on the states.
GST
It's on the
consensus.
attitude and the arrogance of this government.
is
Am I
not
wrong?
just
But the
GST
question is when everything else in the GST has worked by consensus, why not this point?
It is not just not engaging states, they don't even engage their cabinet colleagues.
Their allies.
They don't even engage their allies. So forget engaging states.
Now
That's
we are
apart
trivializing
from-
the issue.
thing
I
is-
think
No,
we are
yes, yes,
trivializing this issue.
trivializing.
How-
I'm making a larger
the-
point.
the
Please,
crux issue
what
is
I'm
what?
trying to
The
say,
crux
we
issue is-
cannot discuss threadbare the report card of a government which is barely a few weeks old and try and
No, we are
condemn
not.
it.
We are
Whereas
discussing the principle.
We are trying to
We are discussing the
see how
principle.
the
You have been
government
charging
which
the
has
central
been
government.
there in power
And
for 4 years.
you have 2-3
4
states and you are
years
not able to
has
reduce even
gone
one
consistently
state.
wrong
Even one
on
state
oil-
is
on
not
oil
having
and
the
petrol
guts
prices.
to reduce. That is the problem. And when in GST council, you come and say, bring it in the GST. They never said it in GST council. They say, no, don't do it. Outside they come, they say, no, they should come in the GST.
100 बात की एक बात ये बताओ, चिदम्बरम जी ने ट्वीट करके कहा कि 25 rupees I can reduce. अरे चिदम्बरम जी के एडवाइस नहीं कर रहे थे कुमार स्वामी को. Did he stop giving advice? This is the first challenge of Rahul Gandhi that he has taken, given and failed in it.
I want to take up. I just want to complete that point.
Talking about the central government.
So why the formula can't apply to states? It can apply to center and it can apply. What economist is this? State economist is different. Center economist is different.
आम आदमी के साथ बेईमानी करी. They cheated them.
What kind of economist that beyond the state boundaries he does not operate?
Yes.
It's a
this tweet of Mr. Chidambaram that Shahzad was talking about, I just want to read that tweet for the benefit of our viewers. This tweet he has said on Twitter very clearly that BJP will cheat people by cutting prices by 1 or 2 rupees per litre of petrol. Shouldn't Mr. Chidambaram actually apologize now for actually the Congress government in the state of Karnataka cheating the people? Question to you, Arthur.
The Prime Minister has
frankly,
tweeted many times in the past
portfolio
about the
is also with Kumar
GST. Can we
Swamy.
go back and look at what the Prime Minister said about the GST and how bad the GST was and how unready the government was? What happened with his own government? They were completely not ready with the GST.
And what did Mr. Subramaniam Swamy say?
patience to
Next
listen.
one,
Yes,
prices
very
reduced.
important.
Prices
I'm
should
not
be reduced.
I'm saying even on the
listen.
even on the fuel hike, Sudesh, there have been contrarian and contradictory tweets by your leadership as well.
Okay,
so
let me explain.
Let me
explain. When Narendra Modi ji was Chief Minister of Gujarat, that time when the GST came, even Congress ruled Maharashtra opposed it because there were certain points the states did not like. So when we came to power, we tried to blunt the sharp edges, evolved a consensus and implemented it. When it was implemented, all the parties were together on board. Even in the GST council, no decision is taken without a consensus. There the Congress doesn't say that bring it in the GST.
Okay.
Congress actually kept it out of the GST through a constitutional amendment.
Fair enough.
It is our government that brought it within the GST, but when to apply this is through a consensus.
Fair enough. I must point this out again. I'm not the spokesperson of a political party. The viewers must
And
understand.
also
We are
to
just
be
advocating
fair-
a point of view
also
here.
to be
We
fair,
have to
in
go to the
this
second
clash-
motion. We have
in
to
this
go to the
clash,
second
one
motion.
must say that the GST is finally working all right. We had a collection of 95,000 crores last
Thank you
year.
for saying that.
You know,
Yes.
no,
Well.
what is the fact?
No, no,
fact.
the
Absolutely.
most-
It's
the most complex system.
We have
to go in for a second
Time for the
question
second
now,
motion.
ladies and gentlemen. The second question that we are asking here on the clash is that was Rahul Gandhi's attack on fuel hikes just a jumla? The reason we are asking that question, as I mentioned earlier, is that Rahul Gandhi is not a person who is in government. It's very easy to sit outside the government and to actually ask such questions. Secondly, the point that was raised earlier, when in fact the center raised the issue of funds being used for purposes of development, it was the opposition that scoffed at the government at that point of time. What happens now when it is a Congress-led government that actually goes ahead and implements that in a state? Can it thus be justified? Also, the other question that I'm raising over here, on one hand you talk about being pro-farmer, about a farm loan waiver, but how does hiking diesel prices, how does that translate into being pro-farmer? Is it not the hundreds and thousands of farmers in the state who actually use diesel for their day-to-day use? Those are some of the questions that we're asking, and also the question that we raised about neighboring states such as Kerala, which have actually reduced their fuel prices to show their conviction in the political arguments that they've made in the past. Hasn't the Congress really contradicted itself on this one? Now, the bigger question, of course, that we are going to be asking is what happens from here on as well. In fact, in the state of Karnataka, when it comes to the issue of fuel price hike, the BJP has already made this a very key issue. They've taken up the tweets that Rahul Gandhi has made in the past. They've come out and very openly opposed, saying that this is a complete violation of the mandate of the citizens of Karnataka. And that's why at this point of time, ladies and gentlemen, this has become an extremely sensitive issue, at least in the state of Karnataka.
Okay, the time is up. I have 45 seconds to respond to that, but I want to give my time away to Sanjeev Srivastava. I'll only say this on the issue of Jumla Bazi. The BJP practically invented Jumla Bazi. So please don't lecture anybody about Jumlas and Jumlas. Go ahead, please.
You have stolen my thunder.
Yes,
that's what I was about to say.
I didn't mean
that
to.
if you raise the issue of Jumla, then suddenly that side on the clash comes on a very sticky wicket. Because the Jumla Bazi, even the party president has said that it was a Chunavi Jumla, 15 lakh ki baat. And all the hazard promises made, wherein I frankly and personally agree that it's impossible to fulfill so many promises in 5 years. But the fact is, when you are in opposition, when you are gunning for power, when you are campaigning to come to the ruling party, you say all kinds of things, which we heard and listened to in the 2014 campaign. none of which have been fully implemented or delivered as promised. But that's part of the game, you know, you take time. And similarly, Rahul Gandhi, I think he was perfectly within his right to corner the ruling party on the issue of fuel price. Here, he has got himself somewhat on a back foot, one has to say.
Yes.
But
You agree
at
with
the
that?
same
You agree
time,
with that,
the entire argument doesn't get demolished. Because when the now oil is kissing $80, even when it was $40,
you're going on for 90 seconds.
There's no buzzer here. He has
petrol prices
Okay.
But
Go ahead.
Sanjeev ji is much senior than me. Ashutosh is much senior than me.
Thank
If
you.
anybody invented the jubla, it was that lady who said "Garibi hatao, garibi kabhi nahi hati, garib hat gaye." So those were the mother of jubla or grandmother of jubla. But she was the grandmother of jumlas. But coming to the point, Rahul ji, जब fuel challenge देने गए, at least he should have considered that he should have given a challenge he can win, because he loses electoral challenge, he loses alliance challenge, and now he gave one fuel challenge, he lost that also. That is the problem. He's a loser.
Indira Gandhi और जवाहरलाल नेहरू
He lose one more challenge. Your challenge also he will lose. Ashutosh ji, ऐसे मत करो.
Stop contesting Indira Gandhi and Jawaharlal Nehru. They are no more. Let's come to the point. Rahul
But
versus
you went
Modi.
into the history of jumlas. I went into the real history of jumlas.
What is happening here is what the Prime Minister said.
Ashutosh, go ahead.
So, what the Prime Minister said in his interview to Swaraj, that the only thing opposition has is Modi hatao. So, similarly, the BJP has only one point agenda, Rahul ko badnaam karo. Find an excuse to come on TV and abuse. आज राहुल गांधी इसके लिए माफी मांग.
for his long political
maybe
career.
in 2019 when they lose the elections, they will also say
I am
Rahul
praying
Gandhi
for
को
his long
जनता से
career.
माफी मांगनी चाहिए.
Can I answer, Ashutosh?
Yes, please.
The way I have honored your time, please honor my time. I would need slightly more time because you have raised the issue of Jumla. I want to put this in perspective once and for all. You see, the failure of Siddaramaiah government, which is the Congress government in Karnataka, has been vindicated in the way they have raised taxes and all that.
That's true.
Nobody can deny it. And we were saying that the state finances were in trouble,
Yes.
but they were not accepting it.
Yes.
Now coming to Rahul Gandhi ji and our Jumla, you see, when we say something, we were in a position. Modi ji was in a position.
Yes.
There were 3-4 figures that were coming about black money. Somebody was saying $1.3 billion, somebody was saying something else. In that context, it was said, and mark my word, every word is important. It was said that if these surveys are correct, what people are talking is correct, then 15 lakh will come to everybody's account. He never said he will give. Now, it is a way of saying, wait, hold on, sir, please hold on. I did not interfere. And till now, there is no white paper to say that this is the amount of black money we have, and what we have done in terms of infrastructure. People are happy, and this money was spent, and that is why we have a robust economy now. If the country is going to have a giant leap in economy, thanks to the low oil prices,
Fair enough.
and
So
thanks to
they-
the way we manage the economy.
So
Rahul Gandhi, when he says, he talks with, not with innocence, but guile. That is the problem.
That's the problem.
Guile is the problem.
See,
Because you want to criticize
some
to
people
criticize.
in the opposition would like to rubbish Rahul Gandhi so much that I would
No, we
appreciate.
don't want to.
I am
We want him
appreciating
to
you
mature.
at least crediting him with some guile. You know, otherwise people would just like to rubbish him as some pappu, which he is frankly has proven he is not anymore. But the thing is, I'll take Shehzad's jumla, if you may, or शेर कि आप करें तो चमत्कार, हम करें तो गुनहगार. जब यूपीए की सरकार में कहीं भी दुनिया के किसी कोने में कोई पैसा मिले तो ब्लैक मनी, और आपके राज्य में पैसा मिले तो भाई
I just want to quote some statistics. Ladies and gentlemen. This is in the last 3 years of the UPA regime. Now, during the last 3 years of the UPA regime, what happened with petrol prices? Petrol prices actually dropped per barrel from 115 to 110 and 105. But what happened to the, this is the actual price of crude. But what happened to the retail price? And I'm quoting the prices in Delhi. They went up from 65 to 68 to 70. So with what moral authority is the Congress party raising this issue? No, I'm asking a question. How can you raise the issue? My question still remains. How can you raise the issue of the inverse relationship of prices outside internationally and domestically? What is happening in the UPA regime? 3 years.
If we find the economic parameters embarrassing and difficult, just change the methodology of calculating GDP.
This is a fact that I'm putting across. How can you counter this? Because you are asking this government, you're asking them, you're saying the very same thing, that prices have fallen. Why are the domestic prices so high? I am demonstrating to you how during the UPA regime prices were falling and they were still rising domestically.
Sir, from 140 to 105 and from 105 to 35.
I'll tell you the reason for this.
Okay,
I'll tell you the reason for this is that when it was 105 and tough decisions should have been taken, instead of doing that, you are giving everything free. Freebies were being given.
Freebies
One
to
second.
whom?
Now let me make my point. Instead of using Aadhaar technology and DBT, you are giving freebies to everyone, and it was going into corruption. Now those oil marketing companies into crores of losses had to be recovered. Otherwise, they cannot acquire oil fields elsewhere. Therefore, today those oil marketing companies' profits have been come back to the marketing companies are now making profit. They are now making profit, which never happened during your tenure. You looted everything. You gave it off in corruption. You allowed it to splurge. Today the belts have been tightened. You should compliment it.
One second. I think we're approaching towards the first half of the break. I believe we should go for concluding remarks. I'll invite Madhav to present his concluding remarks, and then I'll just cite one example to counter Sudesh's point, and that will take a break. Please go ahead, Madhav.
Right. No, at the end of this debate, I think what we have very clear is a case of political hypocrisy. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if politics is about morality, then one has to practice what they preach. But that's not what we see happening today, because in the Karnataka budget, it's because of a poll sop again, as Shehzad was pointing out, that the Karnataka parties in power had promised the citizens that they've had to actually make this huge and drastic hike as far as petrol prices are concerned. And that only the government has to answer for. And how can Rahul Gandhi justify this when he has been taking on the center on the very same issue of petrol prices?
Okay, quick, very brief reply to that. Of course, I will argue that politics is not about morality at all. This is politics. This is serious business. Everyone, when they're in opposition, raises issues, even if they are genuine, it doesn't really matter. Just to point something out, and people change their stances frequently, starting with our honorable Prime Minister, leader of opposition. Any politician worth his or her salt has changed opinion in a very dramatic span of time. I'll just quote two instances just to close my argument here. Way back when the GST debate was raging, this is even before the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government actually started the committee that gave thought to GST. Then Chief Minister of Gujarat had called GST as retrograde in nature and completely against the tenets of fiscal federalism. This is way back in pre-GST era. And just to buttress that, Mr. Arun Jaitley, current finance minister, when he was in opposition, this report of March 1st, 2008, he said that short-term measures in the budget to please peasantry by announcing a loan waiver and announcing election eve softs for other sections of society, the Congress will never get away with it. Does that mean that at once upon a time he was against any waivers for farmers and he considered it complete fiscal profligacy, and now suddenly it has become? No, my point is that politicians make statements and they keep changing. Just pointing out something that is contrarian to what you have said does not make you a hypocrite. Okay. That is my submission.
Then what is a hypocrite?
Can I respond?
Yes.
You see, again, I'm happy that I'm getting a chance to debate with you, which I don't get when you are an anchor.
Sure.
You see, the whole issue is, if you take away morality from politics, then it's no politics.
Don't even pretend there is morality in politics.
No, I don't.
Not in India.
We in the BJP.
Don't even
talk about the Congress, and that is the side you are representing.
Okay.
About the BJP, let me tell you, with
I'm
lot of authority.
For the sake of the
lot of
program,
authority.
I already said, we have been already dealt a hand.
Let me complete.
Yes.
With lot of authority in my command, I can tell you that politics for us in the BJP is not an end in itself. It's not an end game.
Okay.
It is a tool for transformation of society.
All right.
And that is why we are
that's
here.
the official
The money in the Goas and the Meghalaya have established that political morality of the BJP.
Can you say today that
I
politics
think
is a
anybody who
completely
talks about
amoral
morality in
game?
politics is a hypocrite to some
Anybody who
extent.
talks about morality in politics is a hypocrite.
Especially
No,
coming
that is
from
your
a
cynicism.
party.
That is your
Because we have all
cynicism,
seen them in the
Srivastava
past.
ji.
Let us not
That is
be
your
like
cynicism,
ostrich
because you have been
caught
a
in
charity.
Dhritarashtra.
Where is
Where
accountability?
you have become cynical.
Where is the question of
It is all about
accountability?
Rahul betting, and Karnataka has just provided another excuse
But-
for Shehzad to
But I
abuse, for
congratulate
BJP to abuse.
Rahul Gandhi for following Arvind Kejriwal's odd even policy. Odd day he criticizes fuel
No,
like
no.
an even day he raises it.
No,
So I congratulate him for
it's not
following
an
Arvind
odd-even
Kejriwal's
policy.
step.
It's a
That-
pro-poor policy where a decision
First
has
time
been
you
taken
charge the
for
poor and tell them it's
farmers.
pro-poor.
It's for the farmers.
Sorry?
Look at how
It
much
is for the
spending on the
farmers.
education sector.
अरे आशुतोष जी तो वो है कि गंजे को भी कंगी बेच दे. He saying it's pro-poor to raise prices.
Of course he is
आशुतोष जी ये तो आपको ताली देता हूँ मैं.
Education.
आप भी अकेले और गांधी जी राहुल जी ऐसे कर सकते हैं.
The question that needs to be asked. I'll just take Sanjeev up on the question of morality.
किसानों का दर्द समझिए.
No, nobody is against Garib or Kisan. The only issue is of morality, of maintaining a position and then going back on it. Because we are talking just a little over 24 hours after the Supreme
This
Court,
is
in
neither
its
the
order,
first time
pulled
we
up
have
both the
seen it.
state and
That's right.
center
This is
on the
neither the
issue of
first time we have
constitutional
seen such a
morality.
turnaround.
Sanjeev, it is constitutional morality that Supreme Court has spoken about. We are not saying it. And if the law of the
Center
land
has been
demands
pulled up. Now in
that
this
those who are
clash-
in responsible
In this
positions
clash, I
need
hope
to
we are
take
not
a
supposed to
moral,
bash the
need
Supreme
to
Court.
take, no, need
Let's
to
not
take,
go that far.
need to take a
Let's
moral
not go that
position.
far.
I wouldn't do
We
that.
are just quoting from what the Supreme Court says.
So Supreme Court has answered Vermaji's query that is there morality there.
No,
Supreme
we
Court
don't
has
agree.
pulled up.
If Supreme Court has said that, we don't agree with
center
the
is
Supreme
BJP
Court.
today.
Politics is a highly moral
Was spoken like
institution.
Spoken like a true politician.
I'm
I'm not in
your
favour of that.
your side should
You see, I'm
reduce
not
the
in
petrol
favour of
prices
that.
and hike
You see,
its morality. We
Athar-
would appreciate
Athar,
that.
I've seen
Hike
both
your
sides,
morality,
you
not
know.
the
I've seen the
prices.
point of
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hike
With the morality.
your morality.
No,
Ask
no.
our leaders to
No,
hike their
I
morality,
agree
not the
that-
prices.
We are operating in
The
public
kind
domain.
of money which is spent
Tell
on
me,
elections,
have you found a single
the kind of
instance of
money which is
corruption
coming into
against
politics,
anyone?
we are talking about
Arey,
morality.
electoral bonds,
I
why
think
did you
it's-
bring electoral
I
bonds?
think it is
Why have you
right.
allowed
These are
foreign
all
funding?
issues.
And
These
you
are
are talking
all
about
issues that should be
morality
debated.
and money.
These are all issues on which political parties, government should be held accountable. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Whether it is money that is found in a flat in RT Nagar or Rajarajeshwari Nagar rather in Bangalore, every time such issues come up, they are taken up by the media. And I think that's the beauty of democracy, that you are open to criticize all those who come up with such positions.
Or it
And
finds
it's
a way
certainly-
into banks.
well,
You know?
well, if it does,
some banks.
if it does, then certainly, of course, that merits an investigation as well.
All right, I think we should take a short break at this moment. There is much more to come on the clash and the news hour. Remember, this has been an experiment. We hope you liked the debate. More of this to come. We'll be right back. Madhav Gopalakrishnan,
Good luck to you, Arthur
Thank you.
and
Thank you.
Madhav.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.